It's Dan here from the Corporate Thief Beats. Just got a new video, a showcase video for you. This is one of the newest beats that I've done. It's a Drake type beat. It's called The Sixth, and it's similar to what he did with Big Sean on Dark Skies Paradise, a track called The Blessings. And I love these kind of seedy beats, these kind of kidding, kind of ghost kind of type beats, these really kind of dark, kind of synthy, kind of trap beats. These are my favorite beats to make, and I'm just going to give you a brief intro of what the beat sounds like, and then I'll go in and show you how I created this beat and how it came together. So this is the intro. The second, I'll just raise the buffer size. And we'll just give you a brief intro of what it sounds like. And that's the intro, and then the verse goes like this. And then I have a little bit of a pre-verse. And then I have my hook. And that's really the beat. If you want to listen to the full beat, you can go and click the link in the description. It's a really cool, dark, kind of seedy beat. You can get the kind of vibe that I was trying to go for. So basically it just started off with my kicks, basic kind of kick pattern. I think the second, sorry, the BPM was 120. Just wanted to show you that there. The BPM was 120, and this is the kick. I used the producer's choice kicks, snares. I think I got them all from the experimental trap kit. I use a lot of their kits, and I just drag and drop them into Logic using Ultra Beat. That's all I did, and I didn't really change them around or anything that much. I kind of like the sound that I found. Very simple kind of kick pattern, but it's a really kind of beefy kind of kick. And then I have added snares. I just doubled them up. And then I added some hats. Sorry, I'll just show you there where I added the hats. Very easy little kind of trap kind of drum sound. And I added a little open hat here and there just to add a little bit more flavor, but this is where it kind of comes into its own. It's all about the bass slides and the kind of 808 kick. I use the tuner to tune the kicks, and I just tuned them inside, and what I actually did there was I actually opened up Ultra Beat, put the sound into Ultra Beat, and then I bounced, I tuned the kick to C, so every kind of kick that is on C is actually C, tuned all them within Logic, within Ultra Beat, because I think it wasn't on that, so I just kind of changed the pitch of the kick sample down to, so when I was actually playing C on the keyboard, the tuner on the 808 would actually come up as C. So I tuned those kicks, then I bounced them out and I put them into the ESX sampler, and I added them into the ESX, and I pitched them, and then I could play them on the keyboard. And then for the slide ones, I just adjusted the pitch and the glide on both of them, and that's just a simple way of doing that kind of slide kind of bass. And you can hear a lot of this kind of sound in Drake's music in Started From the Bottom and The Language. The Language is one of my favorite tracks. I really love that kind of sound. And that's really the drums that I created. I added some pads then after that. Just a very kind of simple little melody with a simple little pad. And that's a simple synthesizer that I used from Massive. Then I added another kind of synth behind that. I also panned these two left and right just to give them different kind of space in the mix. And then for the pre-verse, I added a little, this kind of little kind of screechy kind of synth. I also added in these other sounds as well, these kind of pads, and I panned them left and right. Starting to fill up the mix now. And it just adds another bit of flavor in that mix. I also brought in strings in here, and I panned those strings left and right. Also in the just in the original, before the pre-verse, the strings kind of come in and out of the mix, and I also added in choirs then to come back in when the pre came in. It just gives it another kind of flavor that you can get from the verse, so it just kind of beefs it up a bit more, and it kind of builds that tension. That's what I really wanted to do, to build the tension to get up to the chorus, and that's where the really cool part comes in, and that's the kind of I put in a bass line just to follow the dance lead. This is a lead synth from Salient. I spoke briefly about Salient before. It's one of my favorite synthesizers. I really love the sounds in it. And I just added this kind of dance lead in the chorus. Oh, whoops. But anyway, I put that in the chorus. And then I added a little ARP synth. And that synth comes in here. And here in the hook, this part here is the hook. I added an ARP synth. And here's the sound. It's just a sound in Salient. There was I felt that there was too much noise in it when without the EQ, so I just cut all the lows off it, and I really got rid of this frequency around here, around 1000 hertz. I just didn't really like it, and I'm just going to play the audio part of it here because I'm seem to have playback issues with recording audio and the video and the sound from Logic. So I'm just going to play the audio because it just saves on CPU. and that's what the little ARP hook synth sounds like. So if I just bring everything else back in, just bring in all the instruments again, and I'm just gonna mute the original MIDI track of that ARP synth because it seems to be causing playback issues. So I'm just gonna solo all them. And here's where the chorus comes back in. That's just like the another kind of pre-chorus, it's constantly building up all the time, and then the chorus hits right when the drums come right back in again. And that's really the main part, the main crux of the song. As far as mixing and going through the mix, what I really did there was I used all the producer's choice kind of kits, and I just did little cuts on stuff that I thought needed them. I don't do too much on it. Because there's an 808 synth in there, I gave it a little bump at like 75, cut some out of that 400 hertz where it can be kind of muddy. That's on the kick. I also routed all the kind of drums to their own VCA faders. It's kind of like a grouping kind of thing, and I created different reverbs for different sounds. I felt some sounds needed better reverbs, like the main hook synth needed a really lot of room in their reverbs, and the drum mix had its own reverb as well, and I just kind of kept them all kind of separate, and I kept all those kind of. I have different kind of reverbs for different kind of sounds. So like my drum mix has one, and then the second one, I tend to use a lot more reverb on the kind of wide kind of low synths or the high synths, sorry, because they tend to be able to keep their original sound that I picked with the reverb and just mix that in, and I did the same thing like I did in the previous track where I routed all the drums to a parallel drum kit, parallel processing kit, and I actually did this parallel processing with nearly all the instruments in this track, just because I kind of liked the kind of volume gain that I was getting, and it kept the track much cleaner, and it also boosted the volume. Here's what it sounded like. Here's what the hook sounded like without the parallel processing. I'll just bring in the chorus. Bring in the main chorus. And you can hear it's just a bit thin, a bit light. So I added in that parallel on the drums. And give it a bit of gain. 808s. Riffs. And that gave it all a kind of a boost that it needed. And that's all I really did to create this beat. But it has such a really good energetic feel. And when that chorus kind of comes in, it really kicks in. The whole song kind of kicks in, and has that kind of dark element that I love making in beats. And that was the sixth, my new kind of Drake type beat. And I hope you guys enjoyed the beat showcase.